Larry some weeks ago to speak to our master's class. It was the first time I met him. And it's as if I have known him for ages. I have known the name, I've heard the voice, but I've never really met him until then. And when we met, it's as if we had known each other for a very long time. Sometimes it's love at first sight.
Also, we lack data here. We really don't know when a few things started for us. But we know that in 1933, radio started in Nigeria. And first it was brought by the British, and they called it Radio Fusion. And they hooked up many times to the BBC. And that became the format, the early format. And since the BBC has always tried talking sports, we know that they did a few sports reports, but not in the term we have it now, which is a new format that we are coming to. 59 television came with thanks to him and for all he did for Nigeria, Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the West, and of course Radio Vision Limited with all the things they did, and it kept changing. Of course, we remember our black and white television sets until 1976 when that started changing in Nigeria, and so the format that grew was having sports as a tail-end item, either on television, or even if you allow me delve more, the newspapers, or even on radio. And so whenever they want to do anything, sports was the last. So they keep reading, which is what NTA still does now. I hope there's no work of NTA around. Somehow they change, not record that. So you find that they wait and read to them the more serious things. And to us, they live almost serious until the last 5 minutes. And at times when they don't have time, they don't even read it or say anything or broadcast anything about sports. That was the old format for radio, for TV, purely when they have news. And then it grew to the point where they started covering regional matches, state FA Cup finals, National League matches. And some names started coming up. I want to throw a few names. You'll still remember Ernest Ogbonwo. How many of us? Ishola Folorunsho, Tolu Fatoyinbo. You remember? Sebastian Ofuron, Fabio Olanipekun. I believe someday you can invite Baba Fabio. He's 70 now, very much alive there in Lagos. Rich reservoir, and you'll learn a great deal from him. And someone of our age group, Emeka Odibo, even Dawiti Bejubu, Kalu Dochi, so many of them. This is at the time at FRCN. And while I was doing my master's in Milan, one of their halftime analysts, I won't forget the very day Mr. Congo told me, make sure you get to the stadium at 1 o'clock. You may go on there for the first time today. You can tell I woke up at 3 a.m. At 10 o'clock I was at the stadium. And every person that passed looked like Ernest. And when the match indeed started, I was waiting for 45 minutes, psyching up myself. Once I'm introduced, I'm going to say this, I'll say this, I'll say this, I'll say this. And indeed, the 45th minute came, and you know, the broadcasters, the sportscasters microphone, different from this. And then he did. But we also have a young man here who I'm introducing to you for the very first time. And you know he will be. You know all those tricks we play as broadcasters. And behold, he called my name. I was like, wow, network. So my dad in Warren was listening. My uncle in the village. Woo. I was so excited. But then when the first question came, everything I had vanished. I was shaking all over when they gave me the microphone. I remember that somebody in Calabar would be listening, another in Sokoto, another in Maiduguri, not knowing that in this business of broadcasting, it is just you and the microphone. Forget who is listening, be yourself. When it's time another day to talk about how to succeed doing this business, we'll come and explain all that. In the year 1992, there was the regulation in Nigeria. And thanks to IBB, whatever we still say about IBB today, he has helped our industry by doing deregulation. And bigger thanks we even give to High Chief Raymond Dokwesi, the Moses of our time, who parted the Red Sea for so many private stations to come alive today. And that's why anywhere, any day, I give high praise to High Chief Raymond Dokwesi. So deregulation came, and with deregulation, private sector involvement came in. People started picking up the entrepreneurial opportunity of seeing how sports can better become a platform that will impact administration of sports in the country. Still trying to narrow it to what you told me to do. And we then had stations that started giving more time than the federal government stations ever gave to sports. And with the pressure that those stations started giving, you find that even today, NTA is beginning to change their old ways. Reason at times you can watch the English League now on NTA, even the Italian League. Who has watched on NTA? NTA is getting better, changing with the times. Again, because of deregulation, making them to come into competition in a way. Till date, on terrestrial terms, we still don't have any television station that is solely devoted to sportscasting, and therefore the impact of sportscasting via television on administration is not total, because we don't have a specialized station. In the year 2002, we started Brilla FM, first in Lagos, and we thank God for His grace. 2007, we opened in Abuja, and last year we opened in Kaduna and Onitsha. And 2002, therefore, went down in history as the very first time in Africa and in Nigeria that a station completely devoted to sports would come into being. And so that's what we have for now. And then through satellite TV, different things also happened, such that you now find a station or more stations truly devoted to only sports coming into Nigeria. Good example from South Africa, Super Sports. And now with a satellite office in Lagos, and also trying to impact administration. I will explain that as I talk. ESPN, through DSTV, coming into Nigeria. And so we now have stations through satellite, purely devoted. Sportscasters getting into Nigeria through satellite TV, through radio, every radio station or most radio stations, but not the way Brilla FM does it, because of the fact that we cannot do anything else based on our license other than do sports. And so for TV, AIT is doing a lot. AIT, you recall, even established the International Broadcast Center when in 2009 Nigeria hosted the Under-17 Championship. So I'm just giving you what we have from the past to the present day. So the new direction has been moving, like people always send text messages to us, when are we going to have Brilla TV? And so even the people themselves are beginning to look at the new direction. So it was first from the colonial days of BBC giving us anything they can, to people working in government-controlled stations, broadcasting sports either through reports or presentation on programs or coverage of matches, FA Cup matches, league games, to where we are now with the sports radio station, TV stations that are giving more time to attend to sports matters. I hope we're following. And then satellite opportunities with sports stations that are not Nigerian owned, hitting Nigeria and also impacting administrators. How they've impacted, we will come to. But I just thought I should give you the flow, the background, the direction. So that is where we are as of now. Administrators, what are their roles? I've written here: administrative support to athletes and coaches, organize meetings, training, coaching, friendly matches, meets, conferences, and other events, drawing up and managing budgets, controlling finance allocated for sporting activities. They also do branding and packaging of teams, ensuring that those teams are marketable, making them attractive to sponsors, and sourcing revenue for every day or periodic running of their sporting bodies. Participate in the resolution of issues as they affect sports, such as conflicts between partner organizations, between athletes or players, use of banned substances, and breaches of regulations controlling those things. Developing a harmonious strategy aimed at making teams develop and enhance credible participation in regional, national, or international tournaments or competitions. Talent spotting and development, liaising with international bodies who govern sports. You bring it now to Nigeria. Generally, we don't know what they do, what administrators do. Let's narrow it down to Nigeria. How do they perform in Nigeria? Well, in Nigeria, the way it is run, you have, of course, the presidency, and the Games Master General of the country is the vice president. And so from his office, government says to what was the Ministry of Sports handle sports in the country. And so administrators of the Ministry of Sports are the ones who are supposed to handle everything about sports in the country. Why did I say supposed? I will come to that. Because we have people who are of the NFF, but government still calls them NFA, saying they take only directions from Zurich, directives from Zurich, and money from the ministry. That's why they struggle in Nigeria. They want your money, but don't give any directives. That's why the sports minister or the chairman of the National Sports Commission still cannot truly control sports in Nigeria, because the biggest sport is controlled from Zurich. Or those in charge say you can't do anything, we'll go and report to Baba in Zurich, and Baba will say, we've suspended Nigeria. And when you don't watch your Eagles play in the Nations Cup, you say this government is not good. Because they need your votes. They make sure they leave sports the way it is, so that sports will remain down. You will watch, Guinea will beat you, and then you start praying for the next Cup of Nations. At least you don't disturb them politically. It's a different deal for another day. Don't open your eyes to that. But basically what we have, the Games Master General leaves it for the Ministry of Sports, which they have now changed to the National Sports Commission. So there is not in Nigeria what we call Ministry of Sports anymore on paper. It is called the National Sports Commission. The National Sports Commission has associations, very many associations. Handball Association of Nigeria, Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Cycling Federation of Nigeria, Hockey Federation of Nigeria, Athletics, I've mentioned that, Boxing. So there are so many associations, and all of them report to the National Sports Commission. They are all handled by these administrators that we have been talking about. And these associations are linked to international bodies. I just talked about the NFA linked to FIFA. And so you have the Handball Association linked to their international body. Swimming linked to FINA. They are all linked to international bodies. I hope you follow it from that score. So that is how the thing operates. Because we must understand this before we now go to the impact that we are driving home. We are going to that very closely now. Now, these associations, these administrators work in very unfriendly and in a very unfriendly environment. How? The country does not have a viable sports policy. A lot of these administrators were not trained. Some got their jobs because of the place of geography in selection in Nigeria, federal character. They call one Federal Character Commission. You know that commission. So the place of federal character.